Hi everyone, I'm Monique and today I'm taking part in the weekly sketch challenge over at Lottie Loves Paper. This is the Fab Sketch and I'm using lots of Paige Evan's new collection called Wonders. So I've got a selection of all the pattern papers there, and the first thing I'm doing is tearing off a strip of this beautiful rainbow stripe. Now I'm just having a little look at the different pattern papers and which ones I would like to make use of, and just tearing little strips of them to build up the background so that the top half of the page is covered in these gorgeous colours. I love this ombre yellow patterned paper. It's definitely one of my favourites. Now I'm just seeing where my photos are going to go, and then I'm taking my pencil and just drawing a soft line where I'm going to be doing my mixed media. I'm using these beautiful gel crayons from Vicki Boutin's new colour study collection, and they really work beautifully. So I'm just scribbling them on my acrylic block and then taking my wet paintbrush and dissolving the colours together. So there's 9 colours in the gel crayon set, and they all work beautifully to create a range of different colours because they mix together beautifully. They work like watercolours, so the more water you add, the softer the colour, the less water, the more intense it is. And also, just to note, my cardstock has been prepped with gesso beforehand, so that's what's allowing these watery colours to blend and merge together so beautifully. To finish off my mixed media, I just come in with some tone-on-tone splatters before taking my heat tool just to speed up the drying process. Then I take my patterned papers that I've chosen and I'm going to slowly layer them on top of that mixed media, and I love how the mixed media just blends perfectly down from those rainbow stripes, and the colours just tie in so nicely. So I'm just sticking everything down with some tacky glue, and I'm just adding the yellow now, and you'll see in a moment that I take the blue patterned paper and think, I think I quite like the look of that, so I'm tearing that and I'm going to swap out the green for that blue. It is totally okay, provided the glue hasn't dried, for us to change our minds, and I do it so frequently. So I'm just adding in the blue and seeing how that looks, and I do like it. However, I do like that green as well, so I'm going to cut a little strip of that and pop that in as well, just so that I've got both there, and I'm much happier with how that looks. Now I'm using another wonderful sheet of patterned paper from the Wonders collection, and it's got about 8 rows of the word wonderful, all in a different rainbow colour. And as soon as I saw this patterned paper, I knew that I was going to use it for this exact purpose and cut out all the different colours to make a rainbow wonderful. So I've cut them all out and I'm layering them just to get the colour sequence correct so that it's tone on tone following that rainbow striped patterned paper. And now I've taken my fine tip black pen and I'm just outlining all of those. I don't want it to fade too much into the background because it is part of the title, so I just wanted to pop a little bit more, so I'm just going around the edges with my black pen. But you're also leaving me behind. So now I'm just ruffling up the edges a bit and tearing off a little bit of excess white trim before getting my letters exactly where I want, and I'm going to take my tacky glue and adhere them down. But first I've decided I want to give them a little bit of a distressed edge. I'm not going too crazy with the distressing around the letters, just very, very gently, and then sticking them down with my tacky glue. Something I do relatively often is add tissue paper behind my photos and then just tear around the edges. I just think it gives such a lovely element of texture that's quite subtle and gives a nice finish to the photos. I'm now going to take this beautiful ombre dark blue patterned paper, also from Wonders, and I'm just cutting it relatively similar in size to the photos. It's ever so slightly bigger, and you don't see much of it at all, but the blue does just peek through from behind that tissue paper, and I think it's just the right amount of color to frame those photos. Now I've got these lovely foam thickers from Simple Stories, and I'm just using them to complete my title so that it says This Wonderful Life. So I've got some white cotton, and I've gone around my photos, and I've also done 3 or 4 rows over my word wonderful, and it's just following the line of that patterned paper, and I've also bordered my whole page. Now it's time to decorate. So I've got one of the ephemera packs, and I'm just pulling out all the different pieces that I quite like. I'm going for tone on tone, and I'm trying to match up that rainbow stripe. So where the pink is, I'm putting pink elements, and the yellow is yellow, etc, etc. So I'm following that rainbow from left to right, and I'm just playing until I'm happy with where everything is before I start to glue things down. Now it's time to stick this title down, and I'm very grateful for my clear square ruler, which really helps me keep those letters nice and straight. Won't you stay? Won't you stay? Won't you stay? So I've stuck my photos together, and now I'm just using some craft foam and some tacky glue just to raise them up off the page a little bit, and I'm going to stick them down in place, and then I'm going to start sticking down all those beautiful florals and leaves. I've decided to distress the edges just a little bit like I did for the word wonderful, and as you can see there, I'm not wasting any of those gorgeous florals. I'm only going to have half showing, so I'm going to cut it in half and save that other beautiful half for another layout. I need to be stronger for my weakness. Oh, you think that I'm strong, but I'm not. Now this blue leaf is giving me lots of bother. I can't seem to get it in a position that I'm happy with, so I end up cutting it apart into lots of different pieces and scatter it about that blue flower and down the side of that little photo until I'm happy with its position. So go ahead and leave it. I don't know what's on your mind, and there's no way I can fix it, but you're also leaving me. Now I like to adhere my butterflies by putting a little bit of wet glue down the center of them, and then adding some foam squares under the wings, and this just gives a little bit of extra dimension. So I usually use a slightly fatter foam square under the top of the wings, about 3 millimeters thick, and then a slightly thinner foam square about 2 millimeters thick under the bottom half of the wings, just for a little bit of added dimension. Just a few more hours, you'll be on your way, like dancing on a wire. Now the sketch has a little cluster at the bottom, so I've decided just to keep it simple and just cut away at my card a little bit and distress the edges and have a little bit of that yellow peeking out. So I'm using the same pattern paper that I used for the top, the lovely ombre. So I've got the darkest shade of yellow at the top of my page, and I'm using the lightest at the very bottom so that it peeks through, and just sticking it down with some tacky glue. Now I'm just getting out my gorgeous gems. These are from Little Things by Lucy's Cards, and I'm just scattering them around the different florals and some of the butterflies. I'm matching the colors to the florals and the butterflies, and I start off adding the gems to the top of the page around the florals on the yellow, and I just feel it stands out too much, so I end up moving them onto the florals, so it's definitely more tone on tone and it's much more subtle, but there's a hint of shimmer. Oh, how I try to make you stay.
stay? Won't you stay?
When I add my gems, I tuck some of them under the pattern papers or under the florals so that they're peeking out. Some go on top, and I just feel this gives a nice natural look, along with the different sizes and making sure that they're not evenly spaced. I like to have some a little bit closer together, some further apart, and that gives the impression that they've kind of just dropped on the page and I've glued them down where they've landed. Obviously this isn't the case and I've meticulously placed them where I'd like to, but I like for it to feel like that. Now I'm coming in with some translucent yellow sequins and a few sequins down below as well. So we've got some pale pink, some blue, and I'm going to try and make this purple. I don't have any purple sequins, so I'm using the blue and a dark pink and layering them on top of each other, and it makes this beautiful purple shade, and it was just right. I was a little bit devastated when I realized I didn't have purple, but it was great that I was able to make a plan and combine those two colors. Now I'm just gluing them down, and I've got a slightly zoomed image there just so that you can see how I've placed them and that they're not perfectly spaced. They're a little bit haphazard, like they've dropped on the page, and I've decided just to add a few little yellow ones at the bottom coming up from that torn strip as well. And here we've just got a close-up look of all those beautiful sparkly gems and sequins and the beautiful bright papers and ephemera from Paige Evan's new Wonders collection. It's all available in the Lottie Loves Paper online store, and please do join us in the Lottie Loves Paper Facebook group for the fun weekly sketch challenge. I hope you've enjoyed watching today and that something's inspired you to create something wonderful for yourself. If you've enjoyed this video, I'd be so grateful if you subscribe to my channel, and you can find me on Instagram at Handmade Happy by Monique. Thanks for watching. Bye.